Oh, well, hello, my dark shadow mad broskies and broskies, guys. So, the dark shadow maverick nation. Oh my god, I was not prepared for this. Not prepared for this at all. The only preparations that were made were me watching freaking videos to catch up onto where I am in these stories. And so far, with this what if, we should be near the internships, agencies, hero killer stain phase thing of things. Yes, it is. What if Izuku was Team RWBY part 5, I believe? Yeah, 5. Part 5 of What If Izuku Was Team RWBY. And so. Mm, real nice to have something to drink right now. And anyways. We would probably start off, with the whole thing Aizawa, telling them about, what, like, internships they should sign up, like, what agencies they should sign up for, damn it, I can't think. Basically, which one of those, like, an intern at a hero agency, basically he says, what like what hero agency do you want to be an intern at? Just sign the thing where and which agency or intern that you want to be at, so you want to be a part of. You know, gotta decide. Gotta decide that shit. And I'm gonna say here that freaking Izuku would make this choice on his own. He wouldn't need anybody's help. He would go with Gran Torino's agency. Why? Because plot. I am not in the best of ways right now. My head is swimming with ideas, and so my ability to cognitive thought is not at its best right now. Uh, anyways, so whenever Izuku, signs up for Gran Torino's agency, he's gotta find the agency first, and whenever he does find the place, he's basically he sees Gran Torino, and Gran Torino tries to surprise attack him, but his kick is met with a gauntlet blast from Izuku, and Gran Torino's like, "Oh, so you are that kid." The one that was very interesting to learn about. You've done many extraordinary things. Your quirk is like no other. Even Aizawa couldn't truly erase it. And Izuku is just he's Izuku's just looking at Gran Torino, and Gran Torino's like, "I know the exact perfect way to train you." And Izuku's like, "What kind of training are we talking about here?" And Gran Torino's like, only training that would help you with that special ability you seem to have, above all others that you seem to also have. The ability to enter what I can only describe as something I remember being called a semblance. And, just like Gran Torino and Izuku looking at each other, Izuku's kind of shocked that he knows about the semblance, but also seeing as he knew about the fact that he did other stuff, like, he's not too shocked, but he is still a little shocked. And Gran Torino takes his time, like an opportunistic time, to throw a punch, but Izuku gets out of his mind and is able to go underneath and go for a sweep low kick, like right underneath his shins and like the calves, like one of his legs into his shin and the other leg into like his calf, part of his leg. And as for the other leg, as for Gran Torino's other leg, he just grabs it and he just sweeps it in the same direction that his he would normally go, like if he were to fall like forward, because he's not really sure about, doing a backwards position. It's kind of like, deciding how you're going to go with the croc roll. Like, whenever you get into, like, the thing is like the crocodiles do, like, the whole thing they call it croc roll. And so basically, Gran Torino lands just, like, flat on his back. And he's like, ugh, I have a bad back, boy. And Izuku's like, sorry about that, you just surprised me. And Gran Torino gets up from, like, just being swept and his bad back. And all of a sudden he disappears. And then Izuku's like, holy shit, what do I do? And he just grabs Crescent Rose and is like, you shall not pass. And the entire area ends up exploding except for Gran Torino's house because Izuku doesn't want to be that kind of guy. It's just like a big explosion, and Gran Torino sent flying up into the air. And Izuku's like, well, shit, if he lands, he's probably going to die. Unless he has some way of instantly, like, getting back into his senses and finding a way to break his fall. But I don't want to take those chances. And so he gets the ropes from, like, Blake's guns, and he, like, whips them around Gran Torino and pulls him back in like freaking Scorpion. And so he basically, like Gran Torino comes falling in towards him, and then they end up just tumbling down like some freaking, like, he doesn't even freaking know. He just knows that he sent Gran Torino directly towards him, and at the last second, Gran Torino prepared a scissors kick, and Gran Torino's like, "You expect too little of me," and Izuku's like, "No, I just didn't expect that of you, especially after you complained about your bad back." And Izuku's like, "But I'm ready to ratify that." And then he just disappears, and Gran Torino's like, "Wait, he can do that too?" And it's just like, it's kind of like Izuku's pulling a Rambo, like a John Rambo. And, he's just, like, invisible. It's almost like he's invisible. And then he just, like, whip kicks Gran Torino in the back of the neck. Actually, it's more or less he whip kicks him in the back of the head, then freaking flops him upside down in the middle of the air, And whenever Gran Torino gets back onto his legs, freaking Izuku disappears again. And whenever he reappears, Gran Torino expects what he's going to do, so he tries to block a punch, but he basically just used the fact that he blocked his punch to pullgate himself behind Gran Torino and pull a neck chop. And Gran Torino's lights are out. He's like, nighty night, Gran Torino. But the last thing Gran Torino says, before going nighty night, is like, you pass. I was like, you're in, kid, you're in. And so that's that. So eventually we get to the point where, well, Izuku is talking with the girls, and eventually he gets bumped by Ida, and Ida's like, "Oh, sorry, Izuku," and you know, Izuku's like, "Well, what's with the long face, man? I mean, it's like, what's with the long face?" Just saying. And Ida's like, "It's my brother Ingenium. I will get revenge for him. The hero killer Stain. He heavily injured my brother. I will get revenge." And Izuku's like, "Are you sure about that, buddy?" Because going in all headstrong is kind of how one of the voices in my head got a lot of this to happen. And Ida's just like, "Huh?" And Izuku's like, "Oh, nothing." But secretly, Izuku tells Gran Torino, and they plan on getting to the area where the area where Ida's going to be, because Ida has planned out, basically mapped out, he knows the area where the hero killer Stain will strike next. So he goes there, looking for trouble, looking for vengeance, and Izuku waits for Gran Torino to give him the okay. And basically it takes Ida getting the freaking shitball crap and hell just beat out of him. Oh boy, Dosey Do, that is a new one. I can't keep up with myself. And that's whenever Gran Torino gives him the okay to come in and just do your thing. Because I know you're capable of doing it. And Izuku is weary, are you sure? He's a trained, assassin last time I. Well, he's trained assassin black. He's like the bloodlust that Izuku can sense off him, the killing intent, is heavy as hell. If it was Reiatsu, it would have probably, be crushing him right now with how much Reiatsu he would have had. If killing intent was Reiatsu, which with which Kenpachi Zaraki, you know, it kind of is if you're Kenpachi Zaraki, but Izuku is not Kenpachi Zaraki, and Izuku's just like, fine then. See what happens whenever you charge in head first, Ida? And Ida's like, ow. And then there's Native there, and Native was just calm the hell out. And Ingenium is already been calm the hell out for quite some time. And it's just like Stain is like, so you're another fake hero. And he's just like Stain is just like, so you're another fake hero. And Izuku's just like, depends on what your definition of hero is. I'm more of a hunter, huntsman. Yeah, the definition in the show, huntsman. I'm more of a huntsman. You catch my drift? And Sting is like, oh, so you're not worried about the consequences of you killing me. As if that would even be possible. Get out of my way, kid, and I won't have to kill you. And Izuku's just like, well, it's your problem, not mine. And Sting's like, what is? And Izuku's just like, well, I warned you. And it's just like, whoa, and just sends Stain flying and lands on his neck and skull onto the hard concrete. And Stain is just like, the did you do that? Uh, I will cut you. I will cut you like a fish. And Izuku's like, oh, well, looks like you're great at quoting movies. Well, for starters, how about we cool down your hot temper, Stain? And he just like has a sword that comes out of nowhere and just like shing shing shing, and just starts waving like blasts of ice and like just plain cold, and Stain starts to freeze, and Stain is like, how this is how is this possible? And Izuku is just like, huh, well, I would hope you'd be less talkative, mostly frozen, all the way to your neck. But I guess not. Gran Torino, have you called in any of the police yet? Or heroes? Pro heroes? And then, like, freaking Endeavor just drops down. Like, Endeavor, Night Eye, like, and whoever else, like, if we're talking cops, I don't know if Namasa is a cop or a freaking. I'm pretty sure he's a cop. Yeah, Namasa is a cop, I believe. Yeah, well, he shows up too, Namasa, and they all show up, and they basically take Stain to prison because he's frozen in like a freaking thing of ice all the way up to his neck. So he ain't gonna be doing jack shit. And so I finished the whole internships and agencies thing. I finished the whole, hero killer Stain thing. So I think we're as good as golden as far as, you know, parts of a what if go. Xenodonsis, Close Darkson, Maverick is OUT out of here. Yeah, boys.